Hi, and welcome to COPD Health Tips, Tidbits 2. Well, that's great. I got it out. A little bit of a tongue twister there. I want to show you a couple things before we start talking about the tidbits. And these are two mechanical tidbits that I'd like to go over. What the first thing you would need to do is get a straw. And what you'll do with the straw is you'll take one end and you'll fold it in half like that. Okay, and then you'll get a piece of tape, Scotch tape, or any kind of tape, and then tape the end like this. Okay, and what you're going to do with it is you're going to blow into it, but don't let any air escape. You put it on your mouth, you blow, and then let your air out. And what that's going to do is it's going to help expand your air sacs in your lungs. Now, I've seen units on the internet selling devices that do the exact same thing this straw does for $30, $40, $50, $60. I've even seen a couple for $100 and some, which is a total waste of money because you can use a straw that's going to do the exact same thing. I mean, you can carry this around with you and do it all day long. I mean, don't overdo it, but what it'll do is it'll help keep your air sacs and help expand them and keep them flexible. And that's one big thing with COPD is and emphysema is your air sacs, they lose their flexibility. And by doing this, you'll keep them flexible. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing I have a cat that loves oxygen hoses, loves to chew on them. I don't know if you have an animal or a cat that does the same thing, but it gets very aggravating when you have to keep changing it. So what I found is, this is called cable wrap, and what you do and put it on is you stick the cable wrap on like this, and you just wrap it around, feed it through, and what it'll do is it'll protect your hose. The crazy thing about this is, as soon as I have this on, seeing it's like this, as soon as I have this on, the cat doesn't even bother the hose anymore. The other thing I found that's really great about it is because this is larger than the hose, my hose doesn't get caught on as many things as it used to, which is a big help. And I got this cable wrap at a place called Cable Ties and More on the internet. And you can get a 100-foot spool for around $36. And it's a real good deal. And it helps. So that's with the two physical things that I'd like to show you today. So let's get started. One of the things that I do on my medicines, I take inhalers. I take Asmanix and Stiolto. I used to take Symbicort and Advair at different times, not all the same. But what I do is, when my inhalers get low, when I'm down to like my last 4 doses on my Asmanix, I'll open a new package and I'll alternate them. The reason I do that is I don't feel sometimes like I'm getting all the medicine when it gets that low that I need. Now, I know pharmaceuticals say there's more than enough medicine in there till you get to 0, but I don't know. I don't feel that way. So that's one thing that I do, is I take and open and the new one and do it with, so when I get down to my last 4 inhales, I go ahead and do that. So that's one of the other things I do. Another thing that I've run into that maybe you have, I mentioned before that I have a 45-foot hose attached to my concentrator and my cannula, and it's downstairs. And I sleep upstairs. The problem I had run into before is in the middle of the night, when the power's gone off, I didn't know that the oxygenator quit working because the alarm really isn't loud enough to let you know clear upstairs that it's gone off. At least for me, it doesn't. So I ended up having to buy a UPS, and that's uninterruptible power supply. And really, it's a battery backup so that when the power goes off, it'll keep certain things running, like the concentrator, for a couple minutes and gives you a chance to get at your portable oxygen and turned on and get that hose on before your actual concentrator quits working altogether. Now, I'm still having a problem, but at least it would last during the day a couple more minutes and give me a chance to get over to my portable and put my portable on. And my daughter, she's a genius. She said, "Dad, why don't you just get a baby monitor and attach it to your UPS and where your concentrator is?" And I thought it over and I said, "Oh yeah." So what I did is I purchased a baby monitor and I put one end by the concentrator connected to the UPS, and I put the other end up on my nightstand. And works like a charm, because not too long after that, the power went off. The alarm went off on the oxygen concentrator, and the UPS sends an alarm too. And the baby monitor picked that up and sent it right to my bedroom. And I knew right away to get up and to put my portable oxygen on. Now, before I had that and the oxygen went off, it's a very scary feeling to wake up feeling like you're suffocating because your oxygen stopped and you just can't breathe. And then you're struggling to get your portable, and hopefully you don't faint in the meantime. Oh yeah, one more thing I do too on my medication is on my inhalers with my asthmatics, I have to do 2 puffs. of my Stialto, I do 2 puffs. I'll take the first puff and I'll wait a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, before I take the second puff. And what that does is it helps the first puff to start working. And when I take the second puff, it goes even deeper. Now, there's been times that I've been feeling under the weather and struggling a little bit. And what I do is if you have albuterol or Xopenex as a rescue inhaler, you could take the Xopenex or albuterol, take a puff of that 15 minutes before you take your inhaled meds, and that'll help open your lungs up so you can go ahead and get the medication deeper into your lungs. So that's another tidbit that really helps. One thing I wanted to mention, not you, but me, and this is just about me. You could relate to this or not, and you may be able to have the same situation. But with my oxygen's a little high, too high, is I get short of breath really, really fast when I go to try to do stuff. Now, I don't feel like I'm suffocating, and I don't get headachy or anything like that. It's just I get really short of breath and I can't catch my breath. Usually if it's too high like that, if I turn it down just a tiny bit, it helps open me up. I guess it does that because with it too high, there's no room for any more air to get into my lungs. So I can't get a good breath when I start getting out of breath. Now, when my oxygen is a little bit too low, I'll go ahead and be breathing okay and go around and start doing things. But then all of a sudden, I feel like I'm dying. I'm so tired, I get weak, I can't catch my breath. Then I know my oxygen's a little bit too low. Now, when my oxygen is just a little bit low from optimal, I'll feel okay and I won't really get short of breath, but my legs and my calves will feel heavy, like somebody put ankle weights on them. So I know that it feels like I need to turn up my oxygen just a tiny bit. And if my oxygen's a little bit high, but really close to optimal, same thing, I won't really get out of breath, but I'll start feeling pain and a little bit of pressure in my lower back of my rib cage. Like it just hurts. And I'll notice right away that my oxygen is a little bit high. And if I turn it back just a wee little bit, then that pain in my lower rib cage and my back will go away. One thing I run into also is purple fingernails. Every once in a while I have purple fingernails, and I'll look that up. I looked it up in Google, and what I found was that it said usually you have lack of oxygen. My problem is I was just the opposite. When I was getting too much oxygen, my fingernails would turn purple. And the minute I would cut my oxygen down a little bit, then the purple fingernails and my color would come back more to normal. Now let's talk about the pulse ox. I know I've been pounding everybody to get a pulse ox meter, and you really, really need it. If you got COPD, you're on oxygen, the pulse ox meter will tell you a lot. Now with me on my pulse ox meter, I'll notice that my oxygen is a little bit low when my pulse oximeter is running 97 and 98 concentration, but my heart rate is up. It's 100 or 105 or 107. It's over 100 beats a minute. And what it's telling me is my heart's trying to overcompensate for the lack of oxygen and trying to keep my oxygen concentration in my body at 97 or 98%. Now, what I found is if my oxygen's too high, my heart rate will be high too. It will be 100, 105, 107, maybe sometimes 110. But my oxygen concentration in my body won't go above 94, maybe 95, and it stays there. And it's strange, but it must be because my lungs and my heart are working hard, and there's no way to get a good exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen. So that's what I've run into with my pulse oximeter. I don't know if you've run into that, but it could give you a tip on if your oxygen is just a little bit high or just a little bit low. Yeah, I mean, now let's face it, when you go get tested and they give you oxygen and say you have to take your oxygen and you're at 3 liters per minute, that is the main guide that you need to have it set at 3 liters per minute. But you'll notice that you may need to adjust it down just a wee little bit. You could be 2 7/8 or 3 3/8, or between 3 and 3 1/4. But you get the idea that they can't fit everybody into you're at 3 and 3 1/2, or you're at 4, because your body will tell you whether you're getting too much, too little, and when you're at the optimal level that helps you as far as your breathing goes. One thing you do have to realize too with your breathing, as your COPD progresses, you're going to be burning more and more calories, which means you need more and better nutrition. And you need to take care of that, because as your COPD is getting worse, or your emphysema or whatever you have is getting worse, the more calories you're burning, it would be like a person that's walking out on the street burning calories, and you would be burning the same amount of calories by just sitting in your chair and breathing. It's almost like you're walking, but you're absolutely doing nothing. So, I mean, for years, 50 years, I never had to eat 3 meals a day until after I got my COPD and it started progressing. Then I started getting more and more tired and a little bit weaker, and I ended up having to start doing a breakfast and a lunch and then a supper. And now I'm up to breakfast, lunch, and supper, and maybe a little snack in between breakfast and lunch, or breakfast or lunch and supper. So, and that's just to keep my energy level up, so I can keep going. One thing also with the breathing, I never used to have to drink a lot of water, but now water really helps me, especially in the afternoon when I start getting a little tired and it's getting just a little bit harder to breathe. I don't know if it's because my medicine's starting to wear down. But when you drink water, I mean, water's H2O. It has oxygen in it. So when you drink your water, and I noticed that too, is when I drink my water, it helps my lungs. It like helps them relax. And I think the other reason is too, is that my body is getting the oxygen from the water. That's also helping to supplement the oxygen that I'm getting through my concentrator. What I want to talk about now is vitamins and supplements, because we hit on the nutrition part. What you need to realize with some of these vitamins, they have 300 and 400 and 500% of certain vitamins and minerals, and you really don't need that. If you look up the half-life of some of the vitamins and minerals, let's take CoQ10 for example. They say, well, you take CoQ10 and it'll really help your COPD. The problem with it is if CoQ10 is 200-300 times the daily average, the half-life of CoQ10 is 33 hours. That's 33 hours just for half of the CoQ10 to get out of your system. So if you're putting in 200 and 300% more than your daily amount, you're just killing your system. You're overloading it. So to get a figure on how long does it take CoQ10 to get completely out of your body, you take that 33 hours and multiply it times 5.5. And that's how many hours it will take for CoQ10, once you take it at 100%, for it to get out of your system. Now I tell you, oh, well, with these vitamins and minerals, what your body doesn't need, it'll go ahead and filter out, and you'll go to the bathroom and get rid of it. Well, the problem is, why would you want to put your kidneys and your liver through all that extra work getting rid of something that you really don't need in the first place? So, I mean, a simple, plain old multivitamin with 100% daily is fine. I mean, you could probably get away with taking it every other day. With the minerals included with it, you could probably go every couple days because the minerals don't leave your system that fast either. So, but it'll be easier on your kidneys and your liver. So that's what you need to do with the vitamins. And the other thing, well, we just got done talking about the vitamins and minerals and nutrition. One thing you need to do too, if you see something when you're Googling up something to see if you can help your COPD or your emphysema or whatever lung problem you do have, don't get taken in by all these wonder drugs and things of that nature that Uncle Joe in the back of his shack is putting together and selling, or they claim to be a doctor. And if you need to find out anything, a vitamin, mineral, medication, the best thing to do is go to the certified places that you can look that up. Johns Hopkins University, the Mayo Clinic, the Cleveland Clinic, the PubMed, which is a government. I'm going to put a list up of the places when you do Google something to go to them places, because the PubMed, the government, actually does studies and tells you the trials and the results of the trials and whether it's good or not. So when somebody tells you, well, you ought to take this, it's going to help your COPD, look it up first to make sure you're not getting duped into buying something that's really stupid or wasteful, or maybe even could hurt you. That's the best way to go. The last thing I want to say about vitamins, I'm on prednisone, and I take 5 milligrams a day, but also vitamins will do the same thing when you're taking too many vitamins. And what I'm getting at is, what would happen before is I would bump my hand or bump my arm on something, not really hard or anything, but I end up with a big bruise. And it scared the heck out of me. I'm thinking, well, with this prednisone and these vitamins I'm taking, it's thinning out my blood. And I could end up with internal bleeding or something like that. Well, it's not true. The doctor informed me that it just affects the upper layers of your skin. that it doesn't go down into your organs or anything else like that that would cause you to bleed like that if you did get bumped. So it was a big relief to me. So if you're getting bruised and a little concerned about it, try to cut back on the vitamins, which I did. And even though I'm taking prednisone now, it's a little bit harder for me to get bruised. But a combination with the vitamins and the prednisone was just a little bit too much as far as my little tiny capillaries keeping from bursting and getting bruised on my skin. Well, that's about it for this episode of Tidbits 2. I'm glad you stayed till the end to watch it. I'm going to be putting up the list of places that when you want to check out any kind of medication, any kind of vitamin, mineral, herb, or whatever, and find out what the big guys or the big dogs think about it as far as the Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic or Johns Hopkins or PubMed or whoever, and what kind of tests they ran to see if it is helpful or not. I'll put that on the list on the credits at the end. And I wanted to let you know we have a forum. If you haven't seen our previous videos, and this is the first one you're seeing, it's called COPDhelpgroup.com. That's www.copdhelpgroup.com. And you can join. We'll send you one email so you can set up your password when you register, and you can put in about anything you want to type about. Whether you want to talk about being sick and tired or being sick and tired, what kind of medicines you're taking, what kind of tidbits that you do or found that help you and that might be able to help somebody else. We even have a section on there if you want any topic that you want to set up. We even have a section there that you can put in your own journal that you'd like to share with other people, how you're doing every day. So you're more than welcome to join, and you're more than welcome to. And it's www.copdhelpgroup.com, and hope to see you there. There's only a few of us, so don't be leery about signing up, because the more that sign up, then pretty soon we'll have a bunch of people posting and everything else. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope we have quite a few more to come. We'll be doing some exercise videos here pretty soon. So thank you. Thank you again for watching COPD Health Tips.